Communities in the areas worst affected by the unrest in KwaZulu-Natal claim that they are fast running out of daily essentials, from petrol, bread and milk to chronic medication. We now speak to SABC News reporter Ayanda Mhlongo, who is monitoring the situation for us in Durban. Ayanda, a very good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us. Where exactly in KZN are you and what's happening there?
A very good morning to you, Simple, and good morning to our viewers at home. We are coming to you live from Overport here in the Durban CBD, where, as you were saying, it's now a scramble for residents here in Durban to get the essentials. I'm just going to step out of shot, Simple, for a second and ask my colleague Ray Mbele to show you the queues of people that are here outside one of the centers here in the area of Overport. We understand that these residents coming from Overport and surrounding areas began queuing here from as early as 5 a.m. this morning. It's very, very cold, as you can see. Amongst those that are here in the queues are elderly who have had to bring out camp chairs, blankets, just to be able to get into the queue and to be able today to see if they can get the essentials. Community members, some of the people that have been passing by us in the last minutes that we've been here, telling us that they are running short of supply. When the violence began, of course, no one had planned for it. Many residents here saying that they had not planned. The protests and the violence spread like wildfire overnight. The stores immediately having to close, those that of course were destroyed, and others closing because of security and safety reasons. And today is the first time that we see some of the shops opening today. Of course, while the residents are out here desperate to be able to get these essentials, there is also a lot of residents that are still on guard. It's a tense situation, very, very much afraid of what could happen over the next coming days, whether or not the looters and those that are behind the violence are going to now continue to spread to areas like this. As we were traveling here, many residents and roads entering certain neighborhoods have blockades. Our residents are armed, protecting their streets, protecting their homes. And again here, there's local security, but there's also residents who have come out to say that they are going to be on patrol to protect one of the store here, to ensure that there are no looters and protesters that make their way here. But certainly very, very desperate residents of Overport are concerned about food. We are told that inside the store only certain items, a certain number of items rather, are being sold per customer. And if you, on average, one lady was telling us on average in where there are families, we have on average 6 family members in one home. The 20 items of food is simply not going to be enough. They're running out of milk. There's no bread across the city of Durban. But worse than that is the petrol situation as well. More and more of the few garages that had opened are now closed, and the other challenge is that residents cannot get petrol to even come to the few stores that are open. So certainly a very, very dire situation here in Durban, as people are scrambling across the city to get to the stores. And I must also add, some people, that we are told that these stores, whose trading hours are usually from 8 in the morning up to 6 o'clock, are possibly only going to be able to open up until 1 p.m. So the trading hours are limited. And now if you look at the queues of people, again, the likelihood is that many of these people who are here today are not going to be able to get into the store. They might then have to come back tomorrow again to try again and see if they can get those essentials. Elderly here are saying the other biggest concern is chronic medication. Pharmacies are closed, and there is no way for them to be able to get. They can't access hospitals due to the current situation as well. Doctor surgeries and medical centers are also closed. And so the other desperation is to get medication, particularly for those people who are on chronic medication and in need of certain medicine. So that is another critical situation that many of the residents here are faced with. Simpiwe?
Now, Ayanda, you did mention that you see private security patrolling the area, and the Defence Minister did announce that the security, or rather the SANDF deployment, has been augmented tenfold from 2,500 to 25,000 to try quell the situation. So are you seeing any presence of police officers or maybe soldiers patrolling? Because when there's a bigger crowd as that, no chances can be taken.
Not in this area, and not around the areas that we've been traveling this morning. Simply, we have not seen any police officers or military. Of course, we do understand that they are overwhelmed, and at this moment, we do know that as of last night, the military had moved to areas like Phoenix, areas like KZN, where the looting and violence was continuing, down in along the N2, where there's large factories there as well. There had been a lot of security that had been deployed to those areas. But here it looks like residents have to fend for themselves. There's the private security guards. Many also that we're seeing are now guarding the service stations as well. There's a lot of security, or private security, that are now guarding the service stations, guarding those that have been destroyed, completely destroyed, but also those that are still operating and are now just waiting to fill up on or to get the trucks to fill up on the fuel. But here it's the residents that have come out in their numbers as well to ensure that they protect other residents who are out here today working with the private security, who we also understand is very much stretched. Simpiwe?
Now, I understand, seeing that most shops in Durban and generally in KwaZulu-Natal have been cleaned up as a result of this incessant looting. Do you get a sense where you are that the shops, where you are exactly, will have enough or sufficient basic commodities to supply the crowd that is there?
Doesn't look likely, Simpiwe. I mean, I think particularly this store would have had to close when the violence started due to safety concerns, and because trucks delivering supplies cannot leave the depots to come and refill the stores. The likelihood is that these stores such as this, which are open, are only selling what they already had in stock, and that is the concern really of the residents, to say that their biggest worry is that the shops are going to run out very fast and they're not going to be able to get supply. Trucks as well are under attack. Trucking companies do not want to risk with their drivers, do not want to risk with the goods that they are carrying to be able to distribute these goods. And so, one of the residents even suggesting that possibly now the security forces and the army might need to focus on escorting these trucks so that they can come through and deliver basic essentials to communities, as well as to assist in those businesses like this mall where we are outside, to ensure that they beef up security around the mall. Of course, there are those that are destroyed, which is now going to take months for them to be able to reopen, if they are going to reopen. I tell you, Simpiwe, this morning I was receiving messages from people saying they had already been alerted by their companies, by their managers and store owners, that those stores are not going to be open. And so already the job losses, we're starting to count the job losses, the number of people in Durban who are not going to be able to go back to work after this situation. It is really a dire situation as well. Simpiwe, public transport is still suspended. There are no buses, there are no trains, there are no taxis. And so if you don't have your personal vehicle, how are you going to be able to even get to these stores? So that is another crisis as well. Transport has come to a complete shutdown because of the fears by those within the transport sector that they cannot risk with the buses and the taxis. And so a lot of people also having to walk very long distances to get to stores like this. And those that do have vehicles, as I said, the other problem is they're running out of petrol. Simpiwe?
Ayanda Mhlongo, great chatting to you. Thank you so much for your update. We'll be coming to you a little later on. There was a reporter, Ayanda Mhlongo, speaking to us live from Durban in KwaZulu-Natal.